One of the challenges and the advantages of being last is that you don't really know exactly what everybody's going to do before you. So we're going to do a quick refresher, especially how it relates to exactly how we're going to select the right ingredients, how we're going to develop the products, and then ultimately kind of reduce this to practice in a case study, which is really more of a theoretical exercise to kind of lay down some of the groundworks there. So as far as protein labeling guidelines, we talked a little bit about this. I thought Judy gave an amazing presentation around it. You know, we're talking about things in the nutrition facts panel. And you can see in some of the products back there, some of the principles we're going to talk about here is you've got the quantity of the protein, and then you've also got the daily values. Now the daily values are only allowed to be put onto the label, and I'm going to keep walking back and forth so I don't block you guys, are only allowed to be put onto the label if you know the protein quantity and the quality. So there's some additional calculations that relate to PDCAAS that we're going to walk through today to kind of give you an idea of how that all works. The other piece is as far as the labeling claims. So these are the things that are going to go on the front of the package and all the supplemental advertising and so on that tells the consumer whether we have a good source, whether we have an excellent source. Even if you want to just say plus protein or with protein, there's a certain requirement that you need to be able to make to be able to get these label requirements on there, or else you will face the ramifications that she so eloquently highlighted before. So if we look at this, we think, okay, great. It's a good source, but they have 8 grams of protein. Why 8 grams? Well, if you do a little bit of math and you take 8 and you divide it by 50, you actually get 16%. They're only listing 14%, which tells you that only about 80 to 90%, depending on the rounding of how those calculations were done, of the protein that's in that product is complete. The rest of it is incomplete. So this is kind of a real-world demonstration, and you can look at some of the products that are back there about whether people are putting the claims on it for daily values or anything on the front as far as the protein quality along the way. So it's just kind of a quick way when you're looking at a package to understand it. So now we'll touch quickly about the protein, or the PDCAAS, which is probably one of the worst acronyms I've ever seen as far as spellability. But you know, it's basically a talk about, and we talk about the essential amino acids, it's essentially a ratio of the actual amount of amino acid divided by the reference. And it's a good thing that this presentation can be available online, because there's a lot of numbers to write down here today, and I don't really want people screaming on that. I'd rather them thinking about the big picture here. So the key here is that with the PDCAAS, you want to look at the lowest or the limiting amino acid within this table when you're making your calculation. So this is it. This is the answer key for what a complete protein is when you're doing a PDCAAS calculation.